When you think of early American cooking, you might picture a hearth with a roaring fire and a cast iron pot hanging over the flames. But have you ever noticed how high that pot is hanging? Colonial cooks had to contend with uneven flames and hot coals in order to properly cook their meals. And if they wanted to cook something that required a lower, more gentle heat, well, they'd have to get up on their tiptoes and peer into the firebox to try and get a sense of how hot the coals were. Luckily, there was a solution to this problem, a technological marvel that allowed for precise temperature control in colonial kitchens. It was called the fireplace crane. Now, these things might not have been as fancy as your modern-day oven, but they were pretty ingenious. You see, the fireplace was the heart of the colonial kitchen, the focal point of all cooking. But it wasn't always easy to use. The most basic fireplace crane was just a long iron bar spanning the width of the fireplace. It was attached to the chimney breast on either side, and the cook could hang a pot or kettle from it by a chain or hook. This allowed them to move the pot further from the fire, creating more space between the heat source and the food. And by moving the crane further out, they could also reduce the intensity of the heat. In other words, this simple crane allowed the cook to better manage the one-size-fits-all heat of the fireplace. Now, this was all well and good, but the wealthier households could afford a more sophisticated crane that could swing out from the chimney breast, allowing the cook to check on the contents of the pot without getting burned. These cranes were often made of wrought iron and featured a pulley system that allowed the crane to be raised or lowered. Some cranes even had a second hook or pot rest near the base of the crane, allowing the cook to set a smaller pot or pan on the fire while keeping an eye on something else in the oven or on the crane. These pot hooks, trammels, or chains attached to the crane allowed for precise temperature control. By raising or lowering the pots or moving the crane outward, the cook could mimic the adjustable settings on a modern stovetop. With a little practice, a cook could master the fireplace crane and create a variety of delicious dishes for their family to enjoy. Hey, don't forget to subscribe for more historical tales, including stories of culinary calamity from America's past.